You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic!
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Hey there. Welcome to Oklahoma On Stage, your backstage pass to all things theater in the great state of Oklahoma. I'm Tim, and I'm be your host as we journey through this magical world of theater. We appreciate you joining us. If this is your first time, you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and our website is at oklahomaonstage, all one word, .org. There you can find all of our past episodes, a newsletter that's coming soon, as well as a monthly calendar of events going on around the state. If you'd like to add an event, production, or audition to the calendar, just email us at oklahomaonstage@gmail.com. Also, send us any comments or questions to the same email or use the contact form on the website. We would like to ask that if you like what we're doing, leave us a rating or review. That helps people find us. Again, thanks for joining us. Now, let's get to our next episode.
Oklahoma on stage, the stories come alive with drama, dance, and music. The arts always thrive. From center stage to backstage lore, Oklahoma on stage, there's always something more.
Welcome back, everybody, to Oklahoma On Stage, your go-to podcast for all things theater in the state of Oklahoma. I'm glad to have you back, and we're sitting here today in the lovely, beautiful Muskogee Little Theatre, and with my guest today, Miss Laura Hazen. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, this was a bit of a drive for me, but that's okay. We started this thing out. We were trying to do it, over Zoom and things like that. It seemed very impersonal. And I was like, you know what? I really want to take this out to the people. I want to go where they're at and see the theaters and see what they experience and all of that. And I'm really glad I did because this place is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. We love our facility.
Now, how long has this building been here?
This building was built in 2016, so 9 years this spring.
So this is still a baby.
Yeah, this is relatively new. Muskogee Little Theatre itself has been in existence since 1972. But this beautiful building, as you describe it, has been here for 9 years.
Very nice. And how many people will this seat?
270.
Nice. Now, you gave me a tour just before we went on the air, and the facility is beautiful. The stage is huge. There's nothing about this that says Little Theater at all.
No, it's a little misleading. But we like that, and we honor our history by keeping that name.
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
That is awesome. So, okay, if you're ready, we'll just dive right into this.
All right, let's go.
Okay. All right. So, from stage enthusiast to executive director, can you share your journey into the world of theater and what led you to your current role at Muskogee Little Theatre?
Sure. My journey to the theater or to the stage began in a dance studio when I was 3 years old. My theater background is in dance, in choreography, and I was bitten by the bug through that art form. And I performed all through high school and college, always as a dancer in a show. I would not consider myself an actress, but I always say the best dancers are the best actresses too. You have to be a performer if you're on stage. But I went to college at Northeastern State University. I was in the dance program, dance company there. I was able to be in a couple of companies while there, and then went on to be a dance instructor and a choreographer and a judge and a contract choreographer. But my background is in business, and I've worked in a nonprofit as well. So those things combined led me here. Our executive director, Connie Wetz, she retired after 22 years of serving at Muskogee Little Theatre, and a local person, acquaintance of both of ours, suggested that I apply for this job, and it just seemed like a perfect way to marry what I love to do and what my degree was in and my background. So it just all worked out.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It's a great story. So now I understand from LinkedIn that you have a degree from Northeastern State University.
Yes.
So what is your degree in?
I have a bachelor's of business administration with an emphasis in event management and tourism development.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how that would really kind of fit in with directing a theater. So
Yes.
that works.
And I had a dance minor and a marketing minor and all the minors that you pick before you decide what you're going to be. So.
Of course. So how did your education at Northeastern State University shape your approach to theater and to the leadership aspect of it?
I think it just prepared me. The event management side, everything's an event if you think about it. Shows are events, one performance at a time. Youth camps that we have here, those are events. Any fundraising, that's an event. And, it all kind of marries that way. We are a 501c3, a nonprofit. So my previous position with Neighbors Willing Neighborhoods, that prepared me as well in the nonprofit world. So when I say it all kind of came together, it's like a bunch of puzzle pieces that all kind of came together. So I wouldn't just say that college prepared me for this. It's been a little bit of my experience across the board that I feel has prepped me for this role.
Excellent. And I think that's kind of how it works for all of us. We are where we are because of all the accumulated experience. So now Muskogee Little Theatre is known for its strong volunteer base. How has your experience with volunteerism influenced your leadership style?
Volunteers are everything in community theater, as you know, and here we do have a wonderful volunteer base. All of our actors, our crew, tech, our ushers, our concession, we couldn't exist without volunteerism. I think it's important to give back to the community and find a way that you enjoy giving back. Volunteering is fun if you find the right project, and there's so many organizations that could use volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. Plug. But my experience in volunteerism is that you get more than you give when you volunteer.
Absolutely.
What you get out of volunteering, that fulfillment and knowing that you're helping your community, it's as valuable as the service you're providing.
I couldn't agree more. So what challenges and rewards come with managing the artistic vision and the administrative responsibilities of Muskogee Little Theatre?
Our biggest challenge is not new to any community theater, and that's funding. Because we are a nonprofit, we rely on grants and donors and ticket sales to maintain and produce what we're trying to do. Funding in the arts, it's hard to find. It's really hard to find, and it's hard to find it for what you need it for. Sometimes grants exist, but not exactly what you need. It's not sexy to have a grant to pay the bills or pay the staff, but if you want to do this new innovative thing, there may be money for that. We're just trying to keep the lights on
Right.
a lot of the time. So that's the biggest challenge for sure. And the biggest reward for me is just seeing what we imagine come to life. Just that magic of theater that people talk about. It's a little cliche, but it's so, so true. Seeing what our directors have come up with and what our actors are producing. And then for me to be in the lobby after every show and to listen to the audience and to hear them say, wow, I can't believe that's Muskogee, or are they local? Or after Jersey Boys a couple weeks ago, I was asked, are they lip syncing? To which I grabbed our lead who played Frankie Valli, his name's Brock Ryan, and I had him hit a note for her. I said, let me prove that they're not. And he hit a note in the lobby, and it was so great. I was like, no, they're singing live. And yes, that kind of talent exists right here at Muskogee Little Theatre and right here in Oklahoma. So that's the most rewarding for me.
And that is one of the very reasons why Oklahoma On Stage exists, because there is a pool of talent in this state that oftentimes goes unnoticed, goes unrecognized, and I think it's time that comes to an end. And I want to make sure that these actors that don't get the spotlight often enough get some kind of recognition, and people could get to know who these people are. And I'm hoping to get an opportunity down the road to be able to interview some of them and get their voice out there and get their story told. And so that's the whole thing that I believe in. So where do you see the Little Theater heading in the next 5 years? And what role do you hope to play in that?
In the next 5 years, I see my goal is to continue to try to find what the nonprofit world calls gaps in services. For example, we created a new teen theater intensive this summer because we have a youth camp that's 1st through 8th grade, and a lot of our shows have only adult roles. Those teens that are coming, they're aging out of our youth camp. I thought we need to provide something for them, so we created that. So just looking for ways to serve. What can we be doing with, within our budget and within our means to better serve, and also just to continue with programming that the community wants to see. And I find it fascinating between generations what we want to offer. I always say if I'm the youngest person in the room, then we need younger people in the room, and listening to what the younger generation, to try to get them involved and get them involved early, what they want to do and what they want to see, as well as the Gen Xers and the boomers, and just diversifying what we're doing so that we are reaching all aspects of the community in Muskogee and trying to get them in our doors. Because I always say, once you come to one show, you're going to come back. Once you come to one program, you're going to come back. So that's my big goal in the next 5 years, just to expand our capacity of what we're doing and who we're reaching and how we can offer theater opportunities to more people as a whole.
That's fantastic. Now you talked about the children and the teens and giving summer intensives and camps and things like that. What do you usually focus in those summer activities?
Our youth camp is an entire month. It's an afternoon camp during the month of June, and we focus with our youngest in just theater etiquette and appreciation, integrity. We also want them to learn the basics of acting, the basics of dancing and singing, just the 3 main components, but they also help backstage. The arts and crafts that they do are usually their sets or their props. And we want them to get an overall view early of the process. We want them to get bitten by the bug. I know that they are our future volunteers. They are our future board members, and they are our biggest ambassadors when they leave here, and they want to come back and they want to be involved every year, and hopefully for the rest of their lives in theater.
That's great. We have found, a friend of mine and I have been pitching for some time about a camp or whatever you want to call it for teens, but more on the technical side. One of the places that so many theaters hurt are up there. Yep. Kids come through, and oftentimes when they're in high school, they don't they're not allowed to touch the equipment. They're not allowed to, run a spotlight, maybe a spotlight, but they're not allowed to touch a soundboard. They're not allowed to, code lights or anything like that. And oftentimes by the time they get into the college or community theater realm, well, there's no place for them in that aspect. And so we really want to encourage, the tech side of things too, and yes, acting, but the way we looked at it, there are acting camps and things like that everywhere,
Right.
and if they've got the money, they can go literally anywhere and go to an acting camp. But very seldom do you find one that is tech focused. And so we always want to make sure that we want to encourage that little aspect to be included in those. So not that I'm telling you how to run your camp, but
Oh no, my wheels are spinning right now. I know that our TD has talked about trying to partner with local high schools and trying to find a way to do that type of thing. But as you're speaking, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying and I'm taking mental notes. So I'm
excellent.
always looking for ideas. That's another way. What's a gap in service? That
Exactly.
the technical end. You don't have to be an actor to be involved in theater. There are so many ways
Absolutely.
to serve backstage.
And as technologically minded as this younger generation is, learning the stuff in the booth is so easy for them.
I can see that.
Me, I'm very old school. I'm still an old school analog soundboard guy. You put me in front of a digital soundboard and I'm just like, what? It's like
Right.
reading a foreign language.
Right.
But I understand the concepts of sound. And so let me marry that with the understanding that those young people have, meet those in the middle, we'll create a monster.
No, I love that. I have a whole workshop now in my head that I'm going to look into having.
Excellent.
Awesome.
See, that's how we work these things. We're sparking ideas and moving theater forward and all of that. So I like it. Okay, you mentioned earlier about your other coordination that you have going on. It's called Neighbors Building Neighborhoods. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it says you've been involved with this since 2016. Is that correct?
Now I've worked there from
Okay.
2016 till I took this position.
Okay, so you're no longer there?
I am no longer with
Okay. But that was an active part of your life,
Oh,
and it
of
has kind of
course.
fed into what you
Yes,
do here.
that is where all of my nonprofits education came from.
So what was your role with the Neighbors Building Neighborhoods?
I was the program manager there.
Okay.
And Neighbors Building Neighborhoods, just really quick overview. It's an awesome organization here in Muskogee, but it's an umbrella organization that manages different grant-funded initiatives. And we also manage grants for the city, as well as being a nonprofit resource center for other nonprofits to help them succeed, whether it be with their back office needs or becoming a 501c3, or it's where you go if you want to start a nonprofit and you don't know where to start. And those services are offered there, as well as grant writing at a fraction of what you'd have to pay an individual or accounting services. But from Neighbors Building Neighborhoods, that's where I got all my experience in what it means to run a nonprofit and what it takes to run a nonprofit.
That's awesome. Now, the organization offers a wide range of programs, from youth initiatives like the Dream Team after school program to community revitalization efforts. Which one of those programs were you most passionate about and why?
The programs that I was most passionate about and directly in charge of were the youth programmings, for sure. The Dream Team After School program serves 150 kids after school every single day and in the summer. And then there was Community Treasures Youth Summer Camp there. There's also a national program that I managed, Vista Volunteers. That's Volunteers in Service to America, where they place what they call a paid volunteer. They get a small stipend to serve organizations that are doing great work in the nonprofit world but couldn't afford to pay for the help. So that's where my volunteer mindedness comes through, as being a Vista coordinator for so long and seeing the impact of volunteers with nonprofits.
Matter of fact, that's actually one of my questions right here, about the AmeriCorps Vista program. That NBN has provided significant volunteer support to local initiatives. Can you discuss the impact of that program on Muskogee's community services?
I can, as far as the programs that I place Vistas with in Muskogee. I had Vistas at Community Treasures Youth Summer Camp, at the Dream Team After School program and summer camp. We also had a vista at the library that was helping with literacy. We've had a vista at a STEAM children's interactive museum play space that was operating out of the mall. And then I also managed the summer vistas for the Community Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma out of Tulsa. And they have told me without vistas, we could not provide some of the services in the summer with providing meals to different housing organizations. They couldn't do it. So the value of volunteers is almost immeasurable. And it certainly is here at Muskogee Little Theatre.
So as you said a while ago, you had, just from what I said, had the wheels turning in your head. You kind of had the wheels turning in my head, because it sounds like there's opportunities with several of the things that you did working with the youth after schools and things like that could be transitioned into theater programs as well. If you had volunteers that were willing to come in and work with young people after school, again, teaching them skills. One of the things I learned a long time ago, you got a room back there, a shop room back there, that most of these kids don't know what a power tool is. And teaching them how to run that, not only will it help them on stage, it would help them learn how to fix things around their home.
Right.
And so that was one of the things for us, my wife and I, in our past life as ministers, we realized that the youth in this state specifically, weren't being taught life skills. They were being taught, high level algebra that most of them will probably never use, but most of them didn't know how to balance a checkbook.
Life skills.
They didn't know how to operate a washing machine.
Right.
They weren't being taught those basic skills. And some of those kids, have absent parents, and so they have no one to teach them. There's always room for a volunteer group to come in and help to flourish those kids in those areas. And so, again, my wheels are turning along with yours. So,
Right, great.
So, okay. So moving forward, let's bring it all back to why we're here. We're going to talk about Muskogee Little Theatre. I kind of wanted to talk about your history, what led you here. So let's talk about the history of the theater. MLT began, as you said, in 1972, transforming a former school cafetorium into a theater space. How has that origin story influenced the theater's culture and operations today?
I think by coming from humble beginnings and meager beginnings, it makes those who've been in the theater family the longest, they have passed on that appreciation. You were talking about how beautiful our building is. And if you had seen where we started to where we are, that appreciation for knowing what we have is certainly, I've went to several shows at that cafetorium. I've been a patron of the theater, Muskogee Little Theater, long before I ever thought that I would be in charge. So
sometimes for theater, you do with what you got. Mm-hmm. And, turning a cafeteria into a theater, how did coming from that to today influence where it is today?
For me, I am inspired by those who I knew what it took for them to make all of that happen, for those original founders and all those people who've been involved over the past. We're going on our 53rd season coming up. For everybody, what they had, I walked into this beautiful building with all that you see at my fingertips, and it was handed to me for sure. And it makes me grateful knowing how hard they all had to work to scrape it together and get it together. And I think the men didn't have a dressing room. They may have been changing outside. I'm not really sure. I don't know how legal that would have been. But just knowing the lack of space and resources and what they were able to do out of that building is inspiring. And so I want to carry that legacy. I want to honor those deep roots that we have here in Muskogee. And we have a lot of people who've been involved in board members and some actors even still who've been around for a long time, and their history runs so deep that I always want to be honoring that in what I do and being the new kid, which I'm milking that new kid thing. I'm not quite so new, but I'm going to ride that wave as long as I can.
Well, that's great. And again, going back to the kids aspect, I think the bad thing about that, all of that you just said, is so many of the kids coming in now are spoiled. Mm-hmm. With this right here, they're spoiled. I mean, they didn't get to, some of them didn't get to see where this came from. And as long as you continue to honor that and, refresh that for them to let them know, hey, this is built on tradition, I think that's phenomenal. I think that's great. That kids learning the tradition of things and sticking with that. So,
yeah, I purposely, when I came into this position, I purposely came in with a hide and watch mentality. I did not want to come in, kick the door down, and start making changes because this is my idea. I really wanted to understand why we do what we do. If there are traditions, why we have them. Are we doing this because we've always done it, because it's meaningful, and not make any changes right away, because I really wanted to be careful to honor what has been laid, the road that's been paved before me.
I like that. I like that a lot. And that gave you an opportunity to, as you move forward, bring some of that past into the new era, if
Absolutely.
you will. So
we were actually able to honor one of our one of the founding members from 1972, one of the officers. He's in his 90s. I don't want to misquote his age. I don't want him to get mad at me. His name's Bob Cockle, and he's a dance teacher here in Muskogee. He's retired now. He's in his 90s. He's in better shape than all of us. Probably does a daily ballet bar workout. But we were able to honor him at our Summer Awards Assembly. And just having somebody who had been here literally from day one and to be honored. And we named our choreography award after him and his wife, Bob and Isabel. And they also happen to be my dance teachers from when I was, for time I was 3 till I was 18. It was a full circle moment for sure. But just having him in the room, again, reiterated that legacy and how far we've come. And just, it was just a really awesome moment for me.
Yeah, those are shoulders that you definitely want to honor, because those are the shoulders that brought,
Absolutely.
that do all the work.
And I wanted to bring him in because I also knew that so many, like you said, of our younger people, or even people my age or older, it reminds you of where they came from, and it reminds you how long-standing MLT is in our community. Just seeing somebody that was a founder.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in 2016, MLT opened this state-of-the-art facility. What were the driving factors behind the transformation, and how has it impacted the productions?
The driving factors were, of course, Connie Wetz, our previous executive director. I believe the cafetorium was just getting unusable. It was just getting to a state of disrepair. And there were, I believe, a campaign in the community to raise funds. The City of Muskogee Foundation, they said, if you fundraise $1 million, we'll match it plus more, and we'll get this done for you. And they managed to do it, which is incredible. And that's how it all came about, through grant funding, primarily the City of Muskogee Foundation and donors. And again, a group of like-minded people who wanted to make something happen, just like 1972.
That's fantastic. I love community involvement. I think that's great. So how did all of that, moving into this facility, along with the past that came with it, how did that impact the productions that you were able to give the community?
Well, that was pre-me. I've only been here since 2023, but I know that they kicked it off big with their first show. I was here. It was Mary Poppins. And it was if the whole community showed up to see Mary Poppins fly through Muskogee Little Theatre. And
did she fly?
She certainly did. She certainly did. And it was just awesome to see, and for them to start off with such a bang. It's like, we've got this building, we're going to use it, and it was amazing. But that transition period, of course, I can't speak to that much because it was before I was here. But as an audience member, I know that they stepped up their game. They wanted to rise to the beauty of this building, and they certainly did.
Fantastic. Now, we've talked multiple times about the community and volunteerism, and so how does MLT maintain its connection with the Muskogee community, and what initiatives are in place to foster local involvement?
We always talk about involvement on our Facebook page. We talk about it in our curtain speech. One thing that I started when I came here was trying to get community tie-in with local businesses when it matched the theme of the show. And I call them community partners, because we have corporate sponsors for each show. And part of the corporate sponsor fee is that they get to have a private attendance to a dress rehearsal, and they get to have a private party, and they get to have a full page ad, but that gets expensive, and not every small business can do that. So for example, with Mystic Pizza, we invited a local pizza shop to sell slices of pizza before the show as our community sponsor at a teeny little ad fee, and they got to run their ad in that program. We put it on our social media. We put it out there as a hook for the show. It was on, any newspaper, marquee, radio, all the things. And they made that feedback the first night of selling pizza. But my goal is only local businesses. We'll only promote local that way. And it was a fun tie-in. We did the Outsiders, and I got a local car club to bring out their hot rods from that era and park them out front during the Outsiders of the era of the Outsiders. And that was my favorite. I was raised by a motorhead, a mechanic who had a vintage car, my dad. And so it was fun looking outside every day. And those guys just needed an excuse to drag those things out and pop up a lawn chair to talk about them. We didn't have to ask them twice. They were here every night. And it was a fun way to say, look, we have this local car club. And it was themed with the show. And Little Shop of Horrors, we invited Sunshine Nursery, a local nursery, and they sold plants in the lobby. And they were selling out every night. And they had people come to their nursery and say, we went to the show and we saw you there, so we're checking out your nursery. So it's just that way to collab with the community and support local businesses, because I kind of feel like we're a small local business as well. And just to share ideas, and anytime I can think of themes that fit. I was told that Sweeney Todd, you're not allowed to sell pie. It's in the rider. I was so upset because of course I was going to do that. But I was thinking, who can we get that's a local baker that would come in? And they always come back to more shows. Any of our partners have said, well, we're Sunshine Nursery, they bought season tickets after they came and watched Little Shop of Horrors here. So I just look for ways to bring the community in that way, because I feel like once you're in the door, you're going to come back, like I've said. So that's one way. And just reaching out whenever we need help. We try to outsource set pieces and props. I always tell everybody involved, my stage manager directors, don't say you've asked everybody and you need to buy it if you haven't asked me. If you haven't asked me, you haven't asked everybody. During Steel Magnolias, we walked across the street to the coffee shop. My TD saw 2 green velvet chairs in their coffee shop that matched our couch, and her wheels started spinning. So I went across the street and said, hi, can I borrow these chairs for our production? And I'll trade tickets. I'm always willing to trade tickets. And then people come and see their stuff on stage, and it's kind of fun. And I recently in our post-show reports have started including the value of what we've borrowed in the community, because that's the true cost of a production, is including those things that are borrowed. And then it creates the bonds between people, and it creates that community of, oh, I helped the Little Theater, and I hope to see them again. But we borrow as much as we can. We are very much have to pinch pennies around here. We are a community theater nonprofit. Don't let the building fool you.
Absolutely. That's great that you guys are managing all of that together. So can you elaborate on MLT's educational offerings? We talked a little bit about the summer youth camp and the significance that it has on the nurturing local talent.
We have our youth camp in the month of June, grades 1st through 8th grade. And enrollment for that is open now. We've touched a little bit on that. They learn all month long, and they put on a show at the end. And we have kids that come every summer, and they look forward to it. I always say that summer camp builds memories, those core memories in kids' heads. And I tell all of my camp counselors all the time, in any camp I've ever ran at Neighbor Swing Neighborhoods here, you might be the best part of a kid's day. You might be the highlight of that kid's day, and don't you ever forget it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we have those kids. And so that's why when I created the summer teen theater intensive, it's called Studio MLT. It's brand new this summer. It's in July for 1 week. Teenagers want to come fast and furious for 1 week. They have lives, they have jobs. So we wanted to offer something for those kids aging right out of the youth camp. And so that's the first week in July 6th through the 12th. And it's for entering 9th grade through entering 12th grade. It's acting, singing, dancing, but we're also going to have some masterclass workshops. We are going to have discussions on how to shake the nerves out. If you want to have a theater resume, how to put that together. We've got somebody coming to do headshots for them. We've got all the things that you think of when you think of that age group and what they would want out of camp. And then their performance is going to be a cabaret style musical review at the end, so they get to have a performance as well. But we want them to leave having learned something. And first year programs are scary. We hope if they build it, they will come.
Yeah, of course.
We have an excellent camp director, Melanie Wicks. She's been theater teacher of the year and all the things that you can think of, very involved in Oklahoma High School Community Theater. She's the speech and drama teacher at Fort Gibson High School. And but there'll be so much going on with that as well. We offer voice lessons here, and we've had acting workshops in the past. We don't currently have any acting workshops right now, but I'm always looking to add to what we can offer in all aspects. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking about that tech workshop as we speak.
I think it will definitely benefit the theater in the long run.
Yeah. It's just not the obvious thing that you think of, but you are so correct. When we talk about all the volunteers it takes to put on a show, I'm not talking about just on stage. So
Absolutely.
We need to offer ways to build that behind the scenes volunteer base.
Absolutely. And imagine these young people when they're, coming around to their senior year and they're competing for scholarships to go away to college. If they have that technical background as well as what they've learned both in school and camps here, adding that technical aspect just ups their scholarship value even more.
Absolutely.
So,
and the more people that have more tools in their tool bag and that can help out, the better. We can't just have that one person that knows how to do that thing. And if that person's sick, then what are you going to do?
Yep.
So I like to train across the board. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think gone are the days of the one trick pony.
Absolutely.
I think we need more people that are, as you said, across the board.
Right.
So,
and it ups their value for sure.
Certainly. So we talked a little bit about volunteer-driven success. I kind of like this, with a governance structure comprising volunteers, because that's what so many people don't understand. Yes, this is a business, but it is not always run by business people. Mm-hmm. It's not run by professionals. They're volunteers. Even the people on the board tend to be volunteers. How does MLT ensure continuity and professionalism in its operation with volunteers?
We do have a code of conduct policies that everybody has to agree to. And everybody has to sign, and it covers everything from safety while you're in the theater to sexual harassment policy is in there, being respectful of your space, being respectful of who you're around. Everybody has to sign on to that. We lay out our expectations up front. That is certainly. And then we also, of course, we have our those policies in place. Our board has a list of what we expect out of them as far as their participation and what we expect out of a board member. But all of our volunteers, we have to make sure we're all on the same page for sure. And it starts with just laying out those expectations early. And everybody understands that we have a standard here, and we only have that standard because we have expectations and because we have rules that everybody has to agree to. We do have bylaws with our board, and we follow those. It's very well structured, and it has evolved over time, I'm sure. And things have been added and deleted as we've gone on. 53 years, things change, and we always are looking to make sure that we're maintaining that standard, which contributes to the continuity.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of the productions that have been going on. I know that you guys just wrapped up Jersey Boys. Yes. You mentioned that earlier. So what unique elements did that production bring to your stage, and what was the audience reception?
The audience reception was great. Like I said, they asked if they were lip syncing, so there's no better compliment than that. That production, we had a little bit of an uphill battle in the beginning. The woman who was slated to direct that show unfortunately passed away.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
She was a Oklahoma artist in residence. Her name was Doobie Potter, and she is Carpenter Square Theater in Oklahoma City was her home theater, but she had done several shows here for us. And so we had to go about finding someone, I won't say to replace her because she's irreplaceable, but to take on that project. And we had Penny McGill step up. And then Penny McGill, unfortunately, got injured at her high school. She's a theater teacher at Muskogee High, so we had to find someone else to step up. And no, it was not cursed because it turned out being phenomenal. But Seth Arnold took the reins in honor of Doobie and Penny, and he was able in a short period of time to put together a spectacular show.
That's great. That's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what kind of, I know you guys have done musicals in the past, but what made that production different or special?
That particular production,
Yes.
different or special? I think the way that everybody had to come together to make it happen, for sure. People pulled together in a time that they really needed to. The 4 guys who played the 4 seasons are very busy in their own right. They had to do a lot of work on their own, learning choreography from a video and then getting together here and there where they could. But just the collaboration of getting it up and off the ground, given the setbacks that we experienced. Like I said, they did a fantastic job, but it really took that, okay, it's going to take a village for sure, which happens every day in every community theater. We couldn't do it just, I can't claim victory alone ever for anything.
Right.
It certainly takes all of us here. But what they were able to accomplish, and the audience's reception, of course, was just fantastic. That is not an easy show to do. It's very specific. It takes a very specific voice and sound and skill set, and you're coming to hear Frankie Valli in the 4 Seasons. You better cast somebody that sounds like Frankie Valli in the 4 Seasons.
Certainly helps.
Or you're already done.
Yeah.
So they pulled it off.
And he has a very distinct sound that the older generation knows and understands.
Absolutely.
And some of those people, I know you don't mess with what they like.
Yes, we got great reviews
Awesome.
on those guys.
That's great. Now, I know you recently just announced your season for next year. And when it starts in August, is that correct?
Yes, it's August to April.
Okay. You announced your first show in August of 2025 is Shrek the Musical.
Yes.
Why did you choose Shrek?
We chose Shrek. We have a play selection committee, and that's how we choose. And I am on that committee, and rumor had it they were trying to get Shrek for a couple of years and couldn't. So it was one of those shows that previous committees had tried to get. But we always try to kick off our season with something with wide appeal. And again, we hope if you come once, you'll come again. So kicking it off with the big show it's been the tradition here. We've kicked off with Beauty and the Beast before and things like that. But Shrek was chosen because within our slate of shows, we want to have something you can bring your kids to, not necessarily something with a lot of youth roles. I mean, if it happens that way, great, but that's what our summer camp's for, is that youth show. But something you can bring your whole family to. We try to have at least one of those in a season. So for this year, it's Shrek.
Okay. Have you, I'm guessing you haven't had auditions yet.
No, auditions are May 18th and 19th.
Okay, so coming up very, very quickly.
Very
So
quickly.
if you're in the area or you would like to make the drive, May 18th and 19th, auditions for Shrek.
Yeah.
So has the vision kind of already been put in place for the show of kind of what you want to happen?
It has not. Our director will work closely with our production team, which includes our tech director and our costumers and our stage manager, and they will decide that vision. That is theirs to decide, and I'm here to support it.
Excellent.
And keep them in budget.
Yeah, that's always a plus. Sometimes that's easier said than done.
That's what I'm known for.
Well, good. So you talked about my next question, which was how do you select the lineup for each show? And so, and again, every theater has a little bit different process. And so some have the selection committee. I know some have they go up and they put a bunch of names up on the board, kind of like a brainstorming. And then as the months go by, they take them off when they're not available or whatever until they come down with the season. Others, they leave it open for whoever wants to pitch a show that they want to direct. And then they go through a selection process of whether or not that's available.
Right.
Is it going to be something that they know they're going to be able to make money off of? Things like that.
Right. We do have a survey that we send out to everybody that comes to our show about the show that they saw, where they get to vote on their favorite actor and favorite actress and all of that, because we do have an awards in the summer where we honor all of our season. But we also ask what you want to see. And so one of the things that I did when I came is I took the responses from the past 5 years from the audience surveys. And then we also do a post-show survey for our cast and crew called a volunteer satisfaction survey. And we ask them, what was your experience like working with the director? Was your time used wisely? Would you be in another show? Did you feel like you were treated with respect? We want to know. And that's how we decide who we let direct again and what we need to do, and how I keep my ear to the ground with listening to what they want. So and also, what's your dream role? I added that this year. What shows would you like for us to do? And then any additional comments, of course. And I took the data from what our audience was wanting and what our actors and those volunteers were wanting to do. And a lot of what we chose, Sweeney Todd, for example, it was a top 3 requested by our audience and a top 3 requested by our actors. So why aren't we doing what the people want?
Give them what they want.
Give them what they want. And we did. So that's where a lot of our information comes from. And the committee, I presented that to the committee this year. This was the first year for me to run the committee. I was sat in with it last year, but it happened while I was being trained. But so I brought that data in, and I thought, we can make this real simple. Let's not go through the weeds. Let's get on the path we've been clearing. And part of that path was just listening to what people want.
That's awesome. I think a lot of theaters would do well to listen to that aspect.
Right.
I love the aspect of the survey on both sides of it. And just kind of marrying the two together.
Right. And a lot of what people want to see in the community, the rights will not be available in our lifetime, probably, or it's things we just can't do. But it was pretty cool to see what they wanted and then see what our actors were wanting to do and just kind of put those side by side. It was very telling.
Yeah, I don't see Hamilton happening here anytime soon.
No, it's not.
So what strategies are in place to, as we talked about, attract and retain diverse audience groups, especially the younger demographics?
Well, one of those is what we've been talking about, is just show selection. It begins there. We had our best-selling season this season that we've ever had in this building. And I can only compare to this building because of the capacity size and things like that,
Sure.
Just apples to apples. But really listening and thinking about what people my age, that Gen X, those generations I was talking about, what they want to see, and picking recognizable titles, that matters. We all want to do those things that theater people want to do, but we also have to think about what Muskogee wants to see. So,
sure. Okay. All right. So I told you before we started that we were going to go through and we were going to experience all of this stuff and ask you a bunch of questions. And then I was going to hit you with some curveballs.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We're going to see. Okay. So the first one, do you have a favorite production that you've been a part of? Of course, I know you said you were more a dancer than an actress,
Right.
either on stage or behind the scenes. Either way,
Okay.
one production that has been your favorite so far.
That I've been in or I've choreographed?
Either way, on stage, off stage, either way.
Okay. One that stands out to me from a choreography aspect was Newsies. I've choreographed Newsies twice, and I did it here in the summer of 2020. And that's a dance-heavy show, for sure. One of the most dance-heavy shows. And I had a blast doing it. I had a blast with boys and showing them that boys are dancers too. And like I told you earlier, I can make anybody look good. So everybody's a dancer. But being here during the thick of COVID, when it was so uncertain, the future of just theater and people being out in the community together, we all knew how lucky we were to be able to be putting on a show with all of the social distancing rules and the things that we were trying to do.
So you were still doing theater during COVID?
We did that in the summer of
Okay.
2020 with lots of rules and restrictions, but we were able to still offer that. And I felt like people really needed it at that time. It was not lost on any of us that many theaters were completely closed for the entire year, and that we were trying to do something here to the best of our ability, like I said, within those guidelines that were put out, to still be able to offer live theater to people. So Newsy stands out to me. And then recently I choreographed Oklahoma, and my favorite thing to do as a choreographer is to reimagine something while still honoring its origins.
Sure.
And the Dream Ballet in Oklahoma, we did the traditional Oklahoma, not the newest one, but the Dream Ballet, I was able to make more lyrical and contemporary and really tell a story and really have Lori not be just a damsel in distress. For sure, she was a modern Lori, and she wouldn't be hiding behind a hay bale scared while the two guys were fighting. So I was able to choreograph a trio that really told the story, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And that's my wheelhouse, lyrical contemporary ballet. And you hardly ever get to put that into musical theater. It's usually jazzy or tap or just musical theater. So anytime I can put contemporary lyrical or ballet into a show and make it add to the story, make it meaningful, that's my favorite thing to do.
Awesome. I love it. So, okay, if budget and rights were no issue, okay,
Fantasyland.
Sky's the limit.
Okay.
What play or musical would you love to produce on that stage right there?
Can I have two answers?
Sure.
Okay. From a dance perspective, West Side Story. West Side Story changed the game for choreographers. It was a complete game changer. Jerome Robbins, the original choreographer for that show, was credited really to being the first that married dance with telling a story and not just stop and do a dance routine. And the way that the guys moved and the gang members moved and the Latin persuasion that was in it was just fantastic. So that's my selfish dancer choreographer show. And the other that is just unimaginable, like you said, budget and just production, is The Lion King. The Lion King is like nothing I've ever seen. Of course, the way that they use puppets and things that just average community theaters just cannot do. It's fantastical in the best way.
Well, there's other ways to do it.
Well, yeah, but just seeing the.
Yeah. My wife and I saw it at the Civic Center in Oklahoma City, and as we're setting up in the mezzanine, and you start seeing the animals coming out of the crowd.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. That's where I saw it, and they were just walking by you, and the birds are flying around, and just the spectacle of that, and just that if you were a child watching would just be a core memory. That would hook you and make you want to be involved.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the fantasy answer for sure.
Sure. Okay. So, and I don't know exactly how involved you are during productions backstage, but can you share a memorable or humorous, or both, and if they're both the same, incident that happened during a rehearsal or a performance?
The last time I was really involved backstage, though, I've choreographed 2 shows here well before it was on my radar to be the executive director, and that was Matilda and then Newsies. But so I haven't been backstage in a long time. I believe in hiring or getting the right people and put them in place and get out of their way. We have a great team. I don't have to be backstage at all. I'm trying to think of something humorous. Oh goodness, Doobie Potter, the director that I spoke of, the late great Doobie Potter, she was one of the most resourceful people, and you could tell she was scrappy. She was from a small community theater, and it was make something out of nothing. And the first and only time I got to work with her was during Little Shop, and she said to me, I said, "Wow, Doobie, you really just source a lot of things and get a lot of things." And she said, "You're right, honey." She said, "If we were doing Annie, I'd cut those red curls right off your head and make a wig." And I thought, oh my gosh, who is this woman? I love her already. And I always stood out to me that she was willing to cut my hair off and make a wig out of it to make something happen. And I thought, I like her. So
do what you got to do.
So grateful to have had my time with her for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we all have those special people that were around when we were just starting out and things like that.
Yes.
And it really kind of helps us to grow.
Yeah,
so
she was an original for sure.
Are there any theater traditions or superstitions that you or the MLT team observe?
I know that they kept the trap door that was on the stage, and we have it back here. I'll show it to you when we're finished. But they kept the trap door. A previous director kept it for the actors to rub for good luck backstage, and they have it. And they said you can help conjure up the confidence of all the actors that have ever been on these boards,
Oh,
and
that's
all
awesome.
of that kind of thing. And then one thing that kind of happened by mistake, not mistake, but just kind of happened this current season is something I own personally was used as a prop on stage in every show. And it just started out with a pirate flag that my son had, and we did Mystic Pizza, and there was a bar at the dock and the pier, and they wanted a pirate flag, and I said, "Oh, I have one of those." And then my bird bath was the fountain in The Outsiders. It was turned into the Outsiders fountain. And then I had a kitchen table in our Christmas show, and something my mom had cross-stitched on the wall at Truvies and Still Magnolias. So by the time we got there, I thought, we've had our best-selling season of all time. Something I own needs to be on stage during Jersey Boys. We need to figure this out. So it was kind of funny. And then a couple of awards that I had won for choreography were used in the record shop to look like they were awards won by recording artists that were, in the recording studio, not record shop, recording studio on stage. So it was kind of funny that happened. So now something I own, I don't care if it's a pin from my desk, is going to be on stage.
Don't mess with a streak.
Yes, it's a streak. And we realized it was a streak. And I thought, oh, we got to finish this how we started. So that's kind of funny and something I hope continues if it can. We'll make it work.
Good thing. Or if nothing else, pass that on to the next one.
Right.
Okay. All right. You ready? Put your thinking cap on.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to do the lightning round. Okay.
Okay.
Rapid fire round. Okay. So just whatever comes up. Okay. Favorite playwright?
Ooh. Oh, of course, everything just left my mind.
It's usually the way it goes.
Oh my goodness. I love the Simon Levy's version of The Great Gatsby, and we're getting ready to do that. So for right this minute, I love the way that was adapted.
Okay. All right. Second one, musical or straight play?
Oh, musical. I'm a dancer.
Okay, of course. Opening night rituals.
Opening night rituals. Oh, goodness. They always do a show circle. They do that every night, though, but I think opening night show circle is special. I think it's special. You're there. You've laid it all out, and you're ready to give it to the people, and there's just something special about that opening night show circle.
Most challenging role you've played or directed?
Not so much one that I've played, but I was in cabaret in college and was a little naked in front of my grandmother. So that was a little challenging. Cabaret is in a nightclub. Challenging as a choreographer, probably Matilda and Newsies with all the kids, just reining in all the kids. Yeah.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. One word to describe MLT.
Community. We are a community. We're a community within our walls. We are trying to reach out to the community to get them involved in any way, to get them to be in our shows. Always trying to build community and give people a place to be. I think now people think they're more connected than ever because of technology, but I think they're more disconnected because of technology. And I want to provide a place for people to come and feel that sense of community and that family. And I've never had anybody come here and be involved in any way that did not say, man, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I got involved sooner and sign me up for next time. So it's a pretty nice thing to be able to say.
That's awesome. Well, with that, we have reached the end of our questions.
Oh, I survived.
You've done an amazing job. It was so much better than a root canal. You survived. You did great. And that's how it goes, And that right there is what we're hoping to achieve with all of what we're doing, is that trying to get people to realize, hey, this is something for everybody. Everybody has a place in theater. And one of the things, if you look over the history of mankind, that keeps us going, that keeps us alive, is entertainment and storytelling. When we marry those two into a theater, small theater, community theater, it just changes people's lives. And I think as long as we have theaters like this that are doing that, I think theater is still got many, many years ahead of it. So
I agree.
I want to thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for continuing that tradition of the arts, and thanks for just being a part of this and sharing your story.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You bet. For everybody else that's listening, thank you for being a part of this. We appreciate you being here. Be sure to find us on Facebook, on Instagram. Also, like and subscribe to our podcast. And be sure and give us a review, because that's how we grow. Other than that, thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting the arts.
Oklahoma on stage, the spotlight burns so bright. Every tale and song, a starry guiding light. So tune in, folks, there's much to explore. Oklahoma on stage, let's give it encore.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.